So today is Zambian Independence Day. 60 years ago, Zambia declared independence from the British. That was under Kenneth Kwanda. And today, as a UK citizen in Zambia, I'm joining them in celebrating their independence from us. And as a country, it's quite interesting how it's developed. I thought I'd share some facts about that. So Zambia has existed, it wasn't called Zambia, but it's existed as a region, at least, to which people fled for quite a long time. So in the 1800s, there were various wars going on in parts of Africa, civil wars and tribal conflict and stuff, and people would normally come to where Zambia is now in order to find peace. Some Zambians here have called it the Switzerland of Africa, and it's because even to this day it's a place where people come to find peace and rest, as opposed to some of the conflict that you might find in other nations, such as in the Congo, just north of Zambia, where despite having really good land, perhaps even because of that, but there is ongoing conflict there, and so a lot of people come from there to here to find a easier life. And I think it's quite interesting to see how each culture has this kind of intergenerational cultural influence, because the love of peace has not left Zambia, and so I guess it makes sense that people 200 or so years ago fleeing to come to here for peace would then have children who have similar values, even down to this present day. Other comments about Zambian culture, again coming from my Zambian friends here, which I find interesting, is that it is very strongly influenced by the British influence on it and the colonial influence on it had, though we're now celebrating freedom from that. And Zambian culture, as I've pointed out in other videos, is still very happy to celebrate things that British people celebrate, in particular football, but also the way that people dress here. I've seen Nigerian clothes where they're long and flowing, African style. They do have some of that here, but more often it is more European colours and that kind of thing. But yeah, I guess one of the uniquely Zambian forms of dress is wearing material called chitenge, which isn't what I'm wearing. I'm wearing a very generic African shirt. This isn't really that Zambian, it's just more broadly African. But the chitenge, it's not like a tartan in Scotland, but you can think of it in the same way. It's like tartan is a kind of pattern used on a material, and then you can use tartan to make all sorts of things. In the same way you have chitenge, which has lots of different colours, and it's used to make headscarves called dukus. It can be used to make shirts and other things. One of my friends tried to make a chitenge shirt for me. We might need to get that repaired because it wasn't quite tailored in the ideal way, but there are lots of tailors who will make these kinds of things for you here. Yeah, those are some facts about Zambia as a nation, and I suppose what makes it distinct from other African nations, like even South Africa, very different to Zambia. It's got far more conflict there. Zambia has a surprising amount of cultural unity. I think I've said in previous videos, it has like 70 plus tribes, 72 tribes, and yet somehow it manages, in my view, to achieve more cultural unity than the UK does, even though English is everyone's second language here and there are loads of languages. They've managed to be more united here culturally than I think the UK currently is, despite everyone speaking the same language as their native language. So yeah, very, very interesting place to be, and honestly it's nice to take part in the celebrations, and hopefully there'll be more to come later today. And I guess one other comment to make is that Zambia, under its second president, was declared to be a Christian nation, and they still wear that label quite boldly, and so you do get lots of Christian influence in this country. It's very, very common to just like have evangelical association of Zambia, just like in big paint on the side of a wall, or like even words like crusade for Christ and that kind of thing that you'd more associate with like American evangelicalism. But you find lots of very explicitly Christian organizations here, including the university that I'm working at. It is the African Christian University, and does try to teach students to high academic standards, what you would hear in other institutions, but from a biblical lens, so showing how theology and the Bible interacts with whatever subject you're looking at. So again, Zambia does wear that label, and I think manifests itself as a Christian country more than other places I've been, that either have a Christian heritage or have wanted to say they're Christian. The UK has a Christian heritage, but it's pretty much moved beyond any proper label as being a Christian country at this point. And America as well, being in the US and stuff. I've seen more explicitly Christian stuff there, but here, yeah, it's very, very strongly influenced by Christianity. And you can see, I've said in other videos, you can actually see that in some of the joy, some of the singing. Over the radio you hear a lot of gospel music, a lot of hymns, and African influenced hymns. Like, I was even at a bar the other day and there was live music at the bar, and I think it was in Bembo or something, one of the languages, and my friend who was eating with me interpreted what was being said, and it was basically a worship song. And so yeah, it's very, very different experience in that regard here as well compared to the West. So yeah, another distinct point is how Zambia approaches sharing its culture with other people. So there's a big discussion in various parts of the world I've been in about cultural appropriation, and you can't adopt certain parts of other people's cultures because that might be offensive. And having spoken to my Zambian friends about this issue, and this is just me reporting their perspective on it, they really appreciate it when you embrace their culture. And obviously, yes, you need to be respectful and that kind of thing, but that's me making the qualification. They didn't even make that qualification. They were just like, yeah, we love it when you try to learn our language, and when you wear the clothes that we have, and you eat the food that we share, and you just immerse yourself or assimilate yourself into that culture. We're very, very, very happy about that. And I've had multiple people say to me that they appreciate when people make those kinds of efforts. So I thought I'd just give the Zambian outlook on how they like to share their culture, and they love it when other people from the outside embrace it. And I think that's probably because Zambia generally loves welcoming outsiders, and is a place that I've already said historically was made from people coming from the outside, and therefore also welcoming people who had been fleeing from elsewhere to come and find refuge here. And so I think it all fits together quite consistently, and makes sense that they're very glad for others to take part in that culture. And I think some of this discussion raises the issue of cultural melting pots. Normally, we think of cultures as like isolated geographical locations that might remain fairly stable, but actually culture is not only located in space, but it's located in time. And what I mean by that is you can go to America, for example, and you'll find parts of America that are very Dutch influenced. And again, this is American friends that I have here telling me these things. And you can see it's like, wow, I'm suddenly, or German influences, like, wow, this just feels very, very German, very similar vibes here. And they're happy, they embrace that aspect of their culture. And I guess that's just because different cultures over time bleed into each other. And I think you get that here as well. Again, Zambian friends just tell me, like, yeah, there's been a huge influence from lots of British culture, and that's a part of, insofar as they celebrate football and they celebrate all of these different things. You know, that's part of the way that Zambian culture has been influenced, and Zambians are happy to embrace those aspects, even in the midst of celebrating their rights, rightly celebrating their rights and independence as a nation, no longer under some of the oppressive consequences of colonial rule, which is also obviously a very good thing. But I guess the point is that each culture is unique. There are complex interactions between cultures, and yeah, there have been many helpful things that are learned from this. And despite me making all of these comments quite oddly, the music playing, because I guess it's at Pick and Pay, which is not a Zambian chain, but the music playing is Take Me Home, Country Roads, West Virginia. So yeah, why not celebrate that as well? While I'm in Zambia, I'm just thinking about the country roads of West Virginia, where I belong.